Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about my first impressions as a Canadian living in Auckland. I've been living here with my partner for 2 weeks now, and these are some of the things that I've noticed compared to what people told us to expect. So, the first thing is friendliness. We were told that people who live in New Zealand are extremely friendly, very welcoming, and for the most part, we have found that. But I will say that it isn't friendlier than Canadians. It's very similar in terms of friendliness. A lot of people will just mind their own business and do their thing. It might be because we're in a city center in the Auckland like CBD is usually when we go out, but I don't find people here to be excessively friendly compared to Canadians. Not that that was like a huge surprise, but I guess the way that a lot of people talked about New Zealanders or Kiwis is that they're like super, super friendly. And I actually find a lot of people here are more reserved than I was expecting and not as willing to like chat. Another thing that surprised me is how tropical and humid this place really is. It's super, super luscious. There's lots of big bushes and exotic plants, so much greenery and so much to see. And it is summer here while we're here right now, but because they get so much rain, it has this like tropical vibe to it. There's palm trees like everywhere. And coming from Calgary, which is like a super dry environment, it was just a bit more tropical than I was expecting. Another thing that surprised me was how busy the city center was, the CBD, the Central Business District. First time we went down there, like the streets were absolutely packed with people. I was not expecting that. I know that Auckland, population wise, is very similar to Calgary, but you go to Calgary downtown and there's like three people in the entire downtown area walking around. Like it's not busy at all. And it's just crazy busy downtown Auckland. There's so many people. The sidewalks are massive and they're just full of people walking around. There's also usually a ton of cruise ships that are docked when you go downtown, so tons of tourists are coming out, walking around the main area, and that probably contributes to a lot of that crowd. Something that we're both really enjoying is that the exchange rate for Canadians has been in our benefit. And we knew this before coming here, but it's interesting to see when we use our credit card to see the New Zealand amount come in and then what it actually converts to in Canadian. And the difference is not substantial, but something for like 50 bucks would be like 40 bucks Canadian. So it's like you're getting a little bit of a discount on everything, which is pretty cool. And it's pretty unique, I think, because if you're Canadian, you usually go to places like the US or Europe, and the exchange rate is not in our favor there. Another thing that surprised us was that the sun is a lot stronger here. I think we heard like one or two people mention this, but we didn't really know what that was about. There's this whole thing about like the ozone layer, there's like a hole down here or something. I don't know, but the sun does feel stronger here. It feels like it's really getting to you. You do definitely need sunscreen if you care about your skin at all. The transit system here is quite easy to navigate, and we've been enjoying using the bus system, the ferry system. We haven't yet tried the train system, but we're looking forward to trying that. But it's not super reliable. A lot of the times the buses are late or they're early. When it's early, that's kind of annoying because if you get to the bus stop like right on time, you may have missed your bus. And you do have to flag down the bus driver. That's something that we didn't know right away, even though the sign like beside the bus stop says to do that. But that's something to note. That's something that's different from back home for sure. And we didn't hear a lot of people talk about the transit system here, the other than saying that it was like really shitty. And I do have a video all about the bus system, so take a peek at that if you want to learn more. Another thing is that there are tons of burger places, like specifically the style of burger called a smash burger. It seems like there is a burger spot on like every street corner. They're absolutely everywhere. The burgers are delicious. It's not something that I was expecting coming here, that there would be like hundreds of burger joints and they would all be so delicious. The fries or the chips here are really delicious too. They're like British style for the most part, and that's like my favorite style. Craft beer here can be a bit more expensive when you take everything into consideration. It ends up being like very close to what we pay back home, but all of the cans are different sizes. So they're smaller cans. In Canada, they're 355 milliliters. In New Zealand, they're 330. So in Canada, our tall cans are 473 milliliters. Here, they are 440 milliliters, and they are about the same price. So it's a little bit more expensive. We've seen like 6 packs of tall cans go for like $50. So it can be quite expensive if you like craft beer, but there are always options. There's a lot of stuff on sale. Certain breweries are cheaper, so if you're looking for budget beer, you can definitely find it. But if you have expensive taste and you like craft beers like we do, you're going to pay a little more for it here. There are a lot of young travelers in New Zealand. This is probably no surprise to anybody, but there's a lot of people here in their like early 20s who are here on a working holiday visa. We are on the same visa, but we are in our 30s. So it's a little bit different for us traveling at this age, but you can tell there's just like a ton of people here who are backpacking and just kind of hanging out, staying in hostels. And that's pretty cool to see. I haven't seen that anywhere else where everyone is so open to receiving travelers. And I've heard that about New Zealand, but it's nice to actually see it happening in person. I also do find that a lot of travelers are very open to each other, more so than like the locals are open and friendly to travelers, if that makes sense. So, like if you're chatting someone up at a bar, it's more likely that that person is also a traveler. In New Zealand, most debit machines or POS machines use tap or the chip. So this is common in Canada. This was no issue for us. I know a lot of other countries do not have the chip cards and do not do tap. So if you have a credit card from another country, you might have to figure something out with that. But for us, it's been a super easy transition. Tapping is like the best thing in the world because you don't have to enter or remember your PIN. Makes paying for things super easy. Another thing that was a big surprise is how expensive car rentals are. And I'm not talking just like a motorhome because I think everyone knows those are expensive, but just renting a vehicle, like a small compact vehicle for a day, can be between 100 and like 400 New Zealand dollars for one day. I got a quote for a place that was close to us and it was $440 for one day for like a small compact car. That is insane, absolutely wild. It's cheaper to just buy a car here and then sell it when you leave, even if you're coming for like a month. Another thing we really enjoy about New Zealand so far is that there is no tipping. We haven't seen anywhere that has requested a tip on the machine, and taxes are included in the price, like I mentioned earlier. So when you're going out for a meal, you know that that price on that menu is what you're paying, and unless you get like super exceptional service or you really want to, tipping is not at all expected. Most people, I think, in the tourism and restaurant industries get paid a pretty decent wage. Minimum wage in New Zealand is over $20 an hour, so that is pretty great. Next up is that there are a lot of bugs here, and we know that Australia has all the dangerous bugs and the big giant spiders and all the disgusting things, but there are tons of bugs here, a lot of smaller bugs. You'll see like tons of small spiders everywhere, and cicadas are out in full swing right now. It is towards the end of summer and they are extremely loud. These little, I don't know, they're like grasshopper things. I don't think we have them in Canada, but they're very, very loud. At night, you can hear the crickets. There's tons of them. There's wasps everywhere. There's flies, like any kind of small pest-like bugs. They're everywhere here. We see them all the time. It's not a big deal. Like where I'm from, Ottawa in Canada, is also very humid, and I think it just comes with that humidity and a hotter climate. You get lots of bugs. Our Airbnb is like full of bugs all the time. We're killing spiders multiple times a day. It's kind of annoying, but that might just be the norm here. And the last thing I wanted to mention on this first impressions list is that everyone has asked us if we have a car or if we're getting a car or when we're getting a car, because it's really, really hard to see this country without a vehicle. And like I mentioned just a few points ago, it's extremely expensive to rent a car. So getting a car is really the only way that you're going to experience New Zealand. You can come to Auckland, take the transit and go to certain spots, but you're really not going to experience what this country has to offer without a vehicle. So that is really our next hurdle to get over, is to get a vehicle, figure out what we need to do in order to buy one, how the process works. And stay tuned. I will be making a video about that once we've done it. But definitely something to keep in mind if you're coming here, if you're moving here. A vehicle is really going to be a necessity, unfortunately. And it's not the cheapest thing to do because of gas prices, and maintenance is quite expensive. Those are all of my first impressions as Canadians living in New Zealand. If you have anything to add, if you have any suggestions, leave me a comment down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.